Hey, 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 it's A.K.A. coming at you from T-Bay where the giant sleeps, and you're listening to AudioVision. Thanks for tuning in. So this is a new show. It's going to be probably, maybe like a 20-episode series that's going to cover various issues such as the economy, education, war, poverty, politics, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, food, pollution, religion, animal and human values, I guess. Like the value of animal and human life. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Racism. The idea of a global resource-based economy. Yes, we function around resources today, but there is an idea out there that many people have been pushing towards. Don't know if it's the best idea, but it's definitely interesting to talk about. We're going to cover things such as cycles of time, the rising of consciousness through the Bronze, Silver, and Golden Ages, the industrial and scientific revolution that is becoming the technological revolution. We're going to talk about business, philosophy, and various ideologies. There are so many consciousness conflicts that are happening on planet Earth today that, the topics are endless. So where do we start? Well, first of all, the whole reason I decided to do this podcast is the simple fact that I recently realized that I'm the problem. I've spent many years doing podcasts that have actually not surfaced as of yet. They may never surface. A lot of them were driven by rage and frustration or, simple curiosity. I'll say the rage comes from my side. The curiosity probably comes from the people who were participating in the podcast with myself. However, that's the past. This is the future. And in realizing I'm the problem, I have to understand that you need to let go of the past in order to move forward. The past is like an anchor. It just weighs you down. It's like the story, The Christmas Carol. Jacob Marley is carrying around endless weight, chains, and ankle weights. I can't remember what you call those things, but those big balls of steel that he drags around. They are ideas of the past. They are the darkness in your closet. They are the demons within you. And in order to go beyond that and move into a new world of realization, a place of peace, we have to somehow let that go. And the only way to do that is to forgive yourself. And if you can't forgive yourself for your mistakes, and furthermore, forgive all the people around you for the mistakes that you have perceived them to produce, then you're constantly hanging on to all that weight. You are constantly dragging these chains and these giant lead balls behind you, and it's nearly impossible to move forward. So how did I realize I was the problem? I guess what happened was I grew up really fast in the sense of starting a family at a young age where I was still in my party suit, I guess. Looking for a good time, but I fell in love, and I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this amazing woman who is now the mother of my children. And at that point, I realized the system was failing all of us. So all of my energy, instead of becoming a hard-working citizen, went towards trying to demolish the establishment, trying to allow everyone around me the knowledge of a corrupt political and banking structure, which is obviously the case, but you can't focus your energy on that. You have to focus your energy on moving forward. Like I said, the ball and chain is the old idea. These are ideas of dinosaurs. They have, yes, moved us forward, and we need to pay attention to that. We need to respect all the hardworking politicians and leaders and corporate owners for moving us forward towards a global society so that we can actually have the technology to connect with people at the swipe of a key. Like, we are so interconnected globally today because of the Industrial Revolution and the Scientific Revolution and the advent of new technologies. However, with our old idea, the boom-bust poverty war, the buy and throw away, planned obsolescence kind of idea, we are continuously marching in a destructive direction. We are keeping nations oppressed, and we are in fact perpetuating the idea of civil war and really world war. We're at that point now, and a lot of people are living in fear with anxiety, and it's hard for them to participate in day-to-day practices. So moving forward, we have to let go of that old system. I mean, this new system isn't going to arise overnight and just, save the planet, but it's there. Many people are talking about it all around the world. You may have heard of things like socio-cyberneering, or the Venus Project, or the Zeitgeist movement, or the Thrive movement, or Ubuntu. Ubuntu is, yes, an operating system, but it's also an idea that's coming out of South Africa, where we need a people's money. And sorry. And beyond that, yes, a people's money would be nice, but we're at a point where the value of money outweighs the value of human life and animal life and environmental harmony. Our biosphere is suffering because of the amount of duress we're putting it through, and this comes from the money system. Anyways, I'm hanging onto that ball and chain. I want to move forward. I want to talk about how to get out of this rut. So first of all, for me, I had to realize that I wasn't being honest with people. I was wearing a mask. I was constantly smiling in public when I really wanted to frown, which you don't actually want to do. You don't want to go walking around frowning, because then everyone else is going to start frowning or looking at you like, what's up with that jerk? And that comes part and parcel to the fact that I wasn't practicing the things that I loved doing. I forgot about all the stuff I loved doing, and I wasn't teaching that to my siblings or my own children. And instead of participating in the industries that I actually went to school for and I previously enjoyed just doing on my own time as an adolescent, I started marching towards the beat of the clock. I started trying to achieve money. I started working in all these other industries and not participating in the areas of interest that I originally held dear. So I got myself stuck in this downward spiral, all the way to the bottom of this deep dark hole where I was looking up at everyone going like, how are these people achieving in this idea? How are they moving forward, doing the things they love to do and becoming successful? And I think the answer was that they were thankful. They never gave up. They kept moving forward no matter what obstacles stood in their way. And in my eyes, these people, especially in my hometown, are the giants. They're the gods and goddesses. They're the people who have risen up before our very eyes through the airwaves to show you what they can do, to show you the new world, to show you a state of consciousness that is arising all over the world today. We understand that we are one, that we are in essence the physical manifestation of the universal consciousness. We are collectively the return of God, Allah, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it. They're all important. And in moving forward and allowing us to cut the chains of the past or rectify the situations of the past, we must find this within ourselves. We must, as mentioned, forgive ourselves for our wrongdoings and move forward. Forgive those people who may or may not have intended to hurt us in their words and actions, and allow them to become one with us. We are all segregated in this idea, and we're trying our hardest to be together. We're trying our hardest to move towards one another and spend time with one another and just be collectively aware that without a community, without unit of understanding, we slowly dissipate. We fall apart. And in my downward spiral, I had pushed myself away from everyone I loved, all my friends, all my family members. And I started blaming society for the way that I felt, instead of realizing that I could change society by changing the way I feel. And I may or may not have accomplished this in many ways prior to this podcast, but this is my intention. I believe that by sharing with you the way I feel internally, the external will begin to change. And I've seen it happen over and over and over again. When I see other people grab a hold of their lives and do the things that they dreamed of doing and achieve the goals that they've always thought they were supposed to achieve, something happens. I feel the butterfly effect. Within me, it's just transforming my vessel. The goosebumps and shivers arise throughout and beyond myself. The hair stands on its tiptoes to dance. That sounded really corny, but it does. It like moves with the universe, and somehow we all are participating in that vibratory scale of awareness. I don't know how. I can't explain that because I am only a part of the universe, as you are part of the universe. We are not the whole unless we come together. And one cool thing about knowing that we are slowly coming together is that if we don't go through these dark phases in our lives and realize all the things we can't stand about ourselves and everyone else and society, then we just can't seem to look at society in a more proactive outlook. Like, we are the yin and the yang, right? You need to know the darkness to understand the light. You need to feel the fear to project the love. And if you don't have a balance between all of that, then somehow you get lost within it all, and your life just becomes this spiraling sense of confusion. I don't mean to babble on and on about universal unknowns, but I truthfully believe they're super important in this day and age, as we are seeing many young people can't find their way through society. They can't find where they fit, as well as many old people who have been working throughout the industrial age, who have now had to go back to school or through the healthcare system to try and rectify all the wrongs that have happened to their bodies and minds, and essentially their spirits. Because if you look around today, we're picking each other up all over the place, and it's the only way to rise up. You have to pick each other up. You have to reach out and be your brother's keeper, your sister's keeper. And some unions suggest that we are not our brother's or sister's keeper, and that probably gets us off the hook for a lot of things. But just like like rules in corporations that don't actually, they preach accountability and transparency, but they don't practice it. And that's changing. We need to have all of these ideas arise, and you need to share those ideas because they're existing within you. I mean, don't go out and start yelling at your council members and your mayor for mass change. Otherwise, like civil unrest is coming, and you're starting this war within us all, and accusing people, because blame is essentially the way to keep yourself in that dark corner. If you can't accept the responsibility and realize, as I have and as millions of people before me have, if not billions, that we as individuals are actually the issue, we have to rise above. Like, one person can't just go biking around and stop shopping at Walmart and stop buying gas and so on and so forth and expect to change the world. But by sharing their understanding of why they don't believe we should be supporting the oil industry, or why we should maybe be using forms of transportation that are more environmentally safe, or why we shouldn't be shopping at corporations that oppress people and, like, steal resources, then we could start to wake up. We could start to realize as a community collective what we have to do. And in moving forward, it's awesome because so many people are doing this now, and they're providing us with amazing ideas all over the internet that suggest the ways to move forward. Like mentioned, we're going to touch on religion in a future podcast, but this is an area of religion that is kind of important today because, like, we see the unity between all spiritual beliefs. It is essentially the golden rule, right? And that golden rule is treat others the way you expect to be treated. Like, just be kind to one another. And I know it's hard in this stressed out world because you look at people as though they're the problem. A lot of people look at their own children as though they're the problem. And don't get me wrong, I've completely blown up on my children. I've yelled and screamed at them and made them feel like they are the problem. When in fact, they were born into a world unwillingly. We brought them here. I brought my kids here without them asking me. So it's my responsibility to take responsibility and do something about the world they're living in so that maybe they have a better chance. And it all starts from home. If I can't be happy with myself, if I don't take care of myself and make myself feel good, then how can I expect my kids to act in the same way? I can't just run around changing the world and then come home and expect them to be awesome. They're going to be like, where the heck have you been, Dad? Why are you gone all the time? Why are you wasting my time? And now you're telling me what to do? And you want me to listen to you? How am I supposed to listen to a dad who's never here and then comes home and yells at me? It doesn't work, right? And we've seen that time and time again. And it's not our fault. Like, it is our fault when we blow up. But we are stressed. We are running out of patience. We are in this era of confusion, and we want to see the light. We want to know the path forward. It's just confusing to a lot of people because it seems very convoluted. It seems like, where are we going? Is it the Dark Ages, or are we moving towards the Golden Age, So, in knowing that all these martyrs are rising up on the airwaves for all to see and hear and sharing their ideas of new worlds, and furthermore, knowing that in the year 2012, the actual median age around the world was 30. That's pretty interesting, considering the Christian religion has told us that, Christ is coming back, and we know all these ideas about Christ, and all these people are sacrificing their well-being and sharing their information and rising up in the airwaves to share the things they know with the world so that the world could be a better place. They have forgiven themselves of their sins so they can share the light with the rest of you, with the rest of us. I'm not leaving myself out. The only way I can be here putting myself on the airwaves is because of all these people before me. I have friends and family members who have not told me that this is what they are doing. But now that I'm stuck here on the other side of the computer, I'm in awe. I'm totally shocked. I believe in them in a capacity that I never would have before. I may have actually accused them of being manipulative before this, suggesting that they were trying to plant seeds in my mind so that I would do something they were too scared to do. But in fact, they're already doing it. And it's not just my friends and family in my hometown. This is everywhere around the world. And it is amazing to see that people actually do care. And you don't have to focus on the Christian religion to see this. Like, this is happening in places where Taoist and Buddhist beliefs are prevalent. This is happening in countries where they praise the Quran. And all of these spiritual scriptures are somehow tied together. And in knowing, like, all these cool conspiracy theories that are rising up all over the internet and looking into them all, you see that, like, even leaders back in the day formed groups to try and put all these religions together to make like a super cosmic religion that allowed them to transcend this world throughout the universe to build their castles right here on Earth. And now it's changing. It's shifting into a new world where the ideas of a kingdom or of empire or of what we now today can call a corporatocracy, they are just ancient ideas. They are fossils, and we need to shift to more of an equal, sustainable and transparent structure that allows all people a chance to find themselves. A lot of people around the world want the people's money. They want no money at all. They want a time system. And I think I kind of fit into that group. I would like a time system where, as long as you put your 24 hours in a week or your 30 hours a week, whatever we decide is feasible, then you get access to stuff. If you want to, say you want access to bigger, funner toys, scratch that. Let's go back to what I originally said. If you participate for the allotted hours that we deem necessary, then you get access to the necessities of life. You get basic shelter, access to food and public transportation, education, and extracurricular activities. But beyond that, if you want the tools and the toys, then you should participate in those industries. And in a time system, you can participate in any industry. You don't have to actually go to one place of work every single day and dedicate yourself to that place. You can move from the healthcare system to the manufacturing system to research and design to whatever. It goes on forever, right? Like, there's all these different areas that we need help. We need people to work. But currently, we ask people to get educated and to pay a whole bunch of money to go in debt, essentially, so that they can eventually find a job. But at that point, you're so stressed out and you have so much money to pay off that it's really hard to move forward without a sense of grief, right? And then greed takes over. Greed overwhelms you because then you want more. You're like, why am I putting my life in this direction when I actually wanted to be putting it in that direction so that I could better the world for my family and friends? But instead now I'm working for the end means of money just to pay my bills, just to make ends meet. And as most of us know, you can never make ends meet unless you strike rich. But then most people who strike rich end up corrupting themselves and the people around them. So it's like, it's just an unbalanced structure. And I mean, we can all fight to change the system, but if we don't implement the ideas that we come up with along the way to shift the system, then it'll never change. Having a revolution causes issues. It causes uproars in society, and then more damage happens. But if we actually move out of this system and into a new system, one step at a time, just by planning and then implementing, then it'll happen. The shift will occur. But we need everyone to participate. And all those people with pent-up aggression can channel that. They can take that fear and turn it into love. They can transform darkness into light and present it on the internet so that their ideas are being heard, their voice is being heard. They no longer have to feel as though they are alone, because not only are they taking in the information from the internet, they're also putting information back out into the airwaves. So it becomes a reciprocal cycle, a motion of just pure harmony, like a feeling of belief where we all can come together from afar, together apart, and know we don't stand alone. So I guess essentially in this first podcast, I'm just trying to get the point across that if you want someone to blame me. I'm the reason the whole world's falling apart and you are struggling. This is, at some point, going to crumble. And if we continue to fight groups of people who just want us to believe in their idea instead of, saving the people who are stuck in that idea, or essentially just saving ourselves from the fear of it all, then we're just sitting back and watching it crumble. And that's something that I personally can't do anymore. I've been watching for a long time, trying to form an idea, and I've had lots of people come into my life, trying to present their ideas, which I truthfully appreciate. But when you get into situations like this, you can't help but feel manipulated by others. This isn't the fault of the others. Although I may have blamed some of you out there, that's the past. In the future, I'm letting go of the past. I'm going to hang on to the reminisce remnants? I'm going to reminisce, and I'm going to enjoy the thoughts that I had of our good times before this. Because, in essence, even the people that I fought with in the past, I love them all. I could never have been the person that I am becoming if it wasn't for all the people before me. And I need to continuously be thankful for this. And if I'm not thankful, then I become the opposite. I become very hateful. And I start looking at the world through dark sunglasses instead of embracing the light, instead of soaking up the rainfall. And in knowing that we need to shift as a global community, each and every one of us has to find this shift within ourselves. And before we come to the conclusion that we've come here to save the world, we first have to save ourselves. It's just the way it works. Some people may think, oh, you're just being selfish and you're just looking out for number one. But if you don't look out for number one, how do you look out for number two? One person put it this way, and it was great. It changed the way I thought. If you're going down in an airplane and you don't put your oxygen mask on first, how can you expect to successfully put your child's oxygen mask on? And it just kind of like opened my eyes to the realization that if I don't wake up and have a shower and work out and eat healthy and then maybe take in, some positive information, then how can I expect to show other people, you got to wake up and have a shower and work out and eat healthy and then, take in some positive information so you can share it with other people. How can you show that? How can that ricochet? It never will. If you're constantly going, this sucks, and if this would have happened, then my life would be easier, and if that wouldn't have happened that way, then I could have done this. If you're constantly doing that, then you're never going to go anywhere. It's just like running around in a circle, like a dog chasing his tail kind of thing. It's better to almost sit back and maybe be cynical if that's in your nature, to look at the world and go, okay, well, where do I fit? How can I help people? Because truthfully, that's all we ever wanted to do. I think as long as I can remember, as far back as I can go, all I ever wanted to do was save my family. All I ever saw was the bad things for some reason. I took in the good things, but I was so there in the moment that I wasn't able to be thankful at that point until I looked back at it. Instead, I was always seeing why are my parents fighting? Why was there a family eruption at this gathering? Why was my teacher yelling at the class? Why was I always questioned those things. And I know there's lots of us who question those things to the point where we have no more questions left. We think we have the answers, but we have no way of articulating those answers because we haven't learned to participate. And if you don't participate and you don't get out into society, then you lose your social tools, your social capabilities. And I've done that several times. Me being a video editor, I get inside my projects to the point where I'm stuck inside myself. I'll stay inside all winter and then come out and realize, wow, I haven't went snowboarding in 2 years. I'm not even living anymore. I'm just focusing on creating these things. And don't get me wrong, I love creating, but at some point there has to be you time. You have to go out and enjoy yourself in society. And if you don't, then you end up not liking society. And you need society. If it wasn't for society, you couldn't exist. We need each other to have all these tools, to have the potential of enjoying any kind of extracurricular activity. You need a community. So today, we need to come to the realization that it's time to shift our value structure. We're doing it. It's happening. But it's happening very slowly. And a lot of us want it to happen a little swifter. So if you're listening to this and you feel like you have ideas that you want to share with the rest of the world, then do it. Because that's the only way our values are going to shift. The only way we're ever going to understand how to become one with one another, with the entire universe, how to bring the dark and the light together to create a sense of universal consciousness that just feels right for the entire global population. It's all based on whether or not you pull through. Don't mean to dump the weight on you, because I hated when it was dumped on me. But now that I've mauled through it all, I understand that if I don't do something, if I don't make a move, then all I do is sit here, wondering, waiting, and praying for something good to happen. Instead, I think it's due time that we start creating those good things. Thankfully, I grew up in a community where a giant spirit exists, where super creative, like I mentioned before, gods and goddesses are rising up all around me, building their ideas from the ground up, creating plays and albums and films and buildings and trains and technologies that I could have only dreamed of right here in my hometown. And then when I surf around the world and look on this Intertron of ours, I see that this is happening everywhere. And we must no longer be scared. If we want to live in the vibration of love, then we have to understand the vibration of fear. And to be whole, you need them both. But if you live only in fear, watching love happen beyond you, then you will slowly close up and shrivel and wither away. Don't let this happen to yourself. You are beautiful, amazing human beings. Every single one of us. And somehow we need to balance our energies so that we can create a world that is sustainable, equal, and abundant for all people to thrive. Anyways, thanks for listening. This was episode 1 of AudioVision.